So welcome everybody here to the bookshelf. This is the, we've only opened a couple of weeks ago, so this is the very first book launch event that we have done. And as a family run, independent, local bookshop, I couldn't be happier that our first event is for an independent local author. So I'm not going to talk too much about ourselves here because tonight is about Matthew and his brilliant book, which you'll all get an opportunity to have a look at here today. Some of you might already have. If anyone, Matthew is obviously going to be signing books here tonight, and if anyone wants to buy a book from the shop, Charlie can take it there at the till. But I'd like to thank Matthew and Sammy for coming along. They arrived here on the opening day, the launch day of the bookshop, and come up, introduced themselves and gave me a signed copy of the book. So it was very nice of them to do that, and I'm very, very happy to welcome them here. So we're going to have, Matthew's going to do a bit of a reading, Sammy's going to do a bit of an introduction, and there'll be an opportunity there for if anyone's got questions to fire them up to the stage at the end. So thank you very much everybody for coming. And
this weather. Tonight we're celebrating the launch of Roses of the Crimson City, which exclusively is sold here at the bookshelf. I want to say a big thank you to Anthony and Neve and the rest of the Reevy family for hosting us in this wonderful space. So I'm Sammy, I'm Maddie's partner, and I have the absolute honour of introducing the author Matthew O'Hare. This book has truly been a labour of love. Over the last 2 years, Matthew spent countless nights crafting a dark and beautiful world, filled with gothic streets, crimson skies, and characters that linger after you turn the last page. Roses of the Crimson City isn't just a story, it's a creation he has poured his absolute heart into, and tonight that creation comes to life. What makes this moment so special is that it's happening right here in Newry, where Matthew was born, and we're surrounded by friends, family and supporters who have believed in him from the very beginning. So I just want to thank you all for supporting local art and for celebrating a story born right here in our own community. Without further ado, welcome Matthew O'Hare.
2 days ago, one of his own men had been accused of killing a human. Ever since, his thoughts have been like shards of glass, pieces of a larger whole, yet they refused to fit together. He knew this man, and he knew him well. A loyal soldier, always diligent in his duties, he had high hopes for this unfortunate soul. Raziel thrashed against the cold sensation that emanated from the pit of his stomach. He knew how this would end. The law was the law. It didn't make the decision any easier, and when the call came to present himself to court, he reluctantly took his place as judge, jury, and executioner. Scanning the courtroom, the biased ratio of aristocrats to those of military or common standing was sickening. The nobles laughed and smiled as they swished extravagant cups filled with crimson, while the military members stood silent and reverent. The nobles gave no thought of the tragedy unfolding. They cared not for anything else but the spectacle they came to witness. The only face in attendance that told the truth of the situation was the accused, chained in the dock, despair branded into his very being. This man was well aware of his fate. Raziel's guilt boiled behind the mask of discipline, one breath from eruption, until a voice snapped him back to the present. Court is in order. Presiding is Raziel Tudor, commander of the Red Rose. Please rise. Muscle memory took control and forced Raziel to his feet. He let his gaze linger in mourning on the accused before avoiding his pleading gaze. You may all be seated. Today's case is against Sergeant De Vere of the Red Rose for the high crime of the unlawful murder of a human. Please, sir, it was an accident. I didn't mean it to go that far. It was a mistake. I'm a good soldier. I'm a good soldier. De Vere slumped miserably back to his knees as he wept uncontrollably. Be that as it may, Sergeant, but the law is absolute. The words caught in Raziel's throat like a foreign body. They were his, yes, but they felt unnatural. Words of duty, not words that reflected his true feelings. The punishment for the unlawful act of human murder is to be sentenced to true death immediately. Raziel gave a subtle nod to the court's executioner. No, please, Commander. I beg of you, don't do this. It was an accident. I don't deserve this. I served. I was loyal. Commander, please, you know me. I don't want to die. Raziel forced himself to watch, even as every fibre of his being begged him to look away. He refused to show weakness and considered this his price to pay. As the headsman approached the accused, he locked eyes and held the gaze of the terrified man. He hoped to impart some form of final solace, or hold his attention away from the inevitable. De Vere's begging and hysterical cries threatened to consume him. His conscience screamed at him to stop this, but he knew he was powerless to act. Goodbye, De Vere. I'm sorry. I failed you.
How do you get that? Tell us.
Insomnia? Best thing is that when you're lying there at night, you can't sleep, and your head throws you all the stuff you really don't want to hear. At one point, I did get a little glimmer of it threw this idea at me, and I realised that the more I wrote, the less the bad came in. So it became insomnia actually using that time to do something useful.
As a writer, first time writer, you could have done differently, or you think you could have done better now, having seen this, finally finished?
Yeah, massively. I found out that a lot of people do way earlier copies. They essentially start promoting their book as soon as they start writing the book. I started promoting this book when I finished the book. A lot of people get a lot of help. There's a lot of support out there for books that are in very early stages. People read it chapter by chapter, helping the author write. I didn't know about any of this. I knew about ARC readers, and my ARC team were actually amazing. But there's always going to be things that I could do different. Like when I started writing this, I'm not even the same person I was when we finished it. I've re-edited, taken stuff out, put stuff back in. I think every time you read something you've created, you will always find something you want to change.